Hello and welcome to FA's Football and Me series, Season 3. I'm Verdi Mazzaria.
And I'm Minna Ibrahim.
And we're so excited to be joining you here from St George's Park, the home of England football. Today's episode is going to be all about faith.
Across the series, we'll be showcasing great examples of diversity, inclusion and equality in all of its forms of the beautiful game. In-depth conversations with football representatives and coaches, and many more to talk about the most important topics of the game. Football is the nation's #1 sport and has the power to bring people together. So let's celebrate all that unites us as well as things that make us unique.
So let's just get started straight away with our guests, and they're going to introduce themselves with what they do.
Hi, I'm Layla Banaras and I'm a footballer for Birmingham City under-21s.
Hi, I'm Kira Wright and I'm a footballer for Derby County.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Lynch. I'm a footballer, content creator and sports journalist.
Hi, I'm Morfey-Greenberg and I am the founder and director of Beyond the Ball.
Hi, I'm Shruti, Saujani, Senior EDI Lead for FA Education.
So Chloe, with the Jewish faith being a massive part of your identity, how has your work improved and just made football, the whole environment, just a lot more inclusive?
We try and make sure that when women come to the sessions, they feel able to bring their whole self, whatever that might mean, for them to be able to dress comfortably in whatever they want to wear, and to just make sure that no matter how they play or you know their level of ability, they're not judged by anybody.
So Charlotte, with the highs and lows of obviously playing in football, how important has your faith been to keep you grounded and keep you guided?
Yeah, definitely football has so many highs, so many lows. One minute you can be starting all the games, next minute you can be injured or there's a new manager come in. But my faith gives me that centeredness. It reminds me that beyond the pitch, I still have an identity. Praying, listening to gospel music and reading scripture before games gives me a peace. And just knowing that, you know, what happens in the game, it doesn't matter because I still have a purpose beyond the pitch. So that's what I love about my faith.
And you're talking about having a purpose off the pitch, of course. Football and Christianity is two big identities for you. How does it feel being able to put those together when you're on the pitch?
Football and Christianity are so important to me. Being on the pitch, I know that God has blessed me with this gift, so I use it to the best of my ability. And then off the pitch, I know that I have a purpose and an identity, and it just really centres me.
So Kira, currently you play for Derby, but take me back, how did it all start? Where did it all start?
For me, it started in my garden with my dad. He would literally, after school with me and my brother, I'd be playing in the garden. He'd be in goal. It'd be me versus my brother, just taking shots at him all the time. I would never score. At a point, when I got to age where I would score, then I was like, okay, now I can actually beat him. But he still saves through them even now. So that was kind of my first involvement in football. And then I kind of started playing with my cousins. All the other girls would kind of do their thing inside and I would go and follow the boys around, even though they wouldn't want me to. But we'd play at my grandparents' house, whether it be a ball, a bunch of socks, whatever it was that we could play, we'd be kicking anything around. And then once I started getting into school, I think a few of the girls, we joined a local club at Albion, started there at 6 or 7, and then I think I joined Derby at around age 10, and I've been at Derby ever since.
Amazing. So obviously you started football at a very young age and you also started it, like you said, playing with your dad. How supportive were your parents in this role of you becoming a football player?
For me, my parents have always been so supportive since day one. Like, my dad would take me to my game on a Saturday, mum on a Sunday, they'd take me through training in the week. And I know that wasn't necessarily the case for a lot of girls in my community back in the day, but I know like that's changing now, and I think Layla can obviously vouch for that. And I think it's really, really nice to see parents now showing the same encouragement that I had when I was growing up, because I think that's massive. And I think if you have that family support, it kind of pushes you to keep going even when sometimes you perhaps don't want to. I think having that family support, not just for my parents, I think for my grandparents as well. So like for me, they were always really proud of me playing football, which perhaps necessarily isn't something that in the past was pushed as a South Asian girl. So I think to have that from all aspects of my family, I think kind of has helped me get to where I am today.
Layla, you're a returning guest on Football and Me, appeared in Season 1. How's life been since you were on Season 1?
Life has been crazy. A lot's been going on with football. I've been on dual registration with Wolves. I've been up with first team. Like, it's been quite a lot. I finished college. I did my GCSEs, obviously. But yeah, everything's going really well.
As a prominent South Asian Muslim player representing Birmingham City, how has the community responded to you just as a Muslim player, and do you see yourself as a role model for the up-and-coming generation?
I think Birmingham's a really multicultural city. Literally people from South Asian background, people from African background, like people from loads of different religions. They've been very welcoming, obviously, and obviously people ask loads of questions because I do wear leggings, I do cover my legs, so people are always a bit curious or wonder why she's not just wearing shorts and stuff like that, and obviously educating people. Community have been very welcoming.
So Shruti, you started off from cricket and now you're in football, yeah? First I want to ask you, which sport do you prefer? And secondly, what are the challenges that you've noticed in the difference between cricket and football?
Absolutely football, without doubt. So I guess the challenges are similar across sport in terms of representation. We often talk about if you can't see it, you can't be it, and I think that rings true across sports. The opportunities available for underrepresented groups, especially those from ethnically diverse backgrounds, and then in terms of parity, in terms of pay, profile, media attention, spans across both of the sports. But as Mina mentioned, the power of sports that it has to connect communities and unite the nation is huge, and I think we have such an incredible sport to do that.
When it comes to diversity in football, from what you're seeing so far, do you think it's getting there? Do you think it's there? Or what do you think the journey is like for that?
We're on a journey. I think there's been huge building blocks built, and I think every day that goes past, every ball that's kicked, every game that's taken place, I think there's a building block. At the moment we see representation, or we see players sign at great, huge deals, or even we see the next coach that comes through. So I think we're on a journey. I think we have to continue to adapt and be agile and make sure we're meeting the needs of our audiences.
Chloe, you're the founder and director of Beyond the Ball. What inspired you to start this?
So I went through a lot of change in my life around January 2021. So sadly, I lost my mother quite early. And coaching football was always something I enjoyed, but I ended up getting into coaching women's football around that time. And it completely changed my life. Like, it got me through that really difficult grief period. And the buzz that I would get turning up to sessions and running it for women who wanted to be there and wanted to learn and develop their skills was honestly incomparable to anything else. So I wanted to take that and I wanted to give other women an opportunity to enjoy football the way that these women did. So opening it up to all women, regardless of how they identify, regardless of their religion or their ethnic background, to be able to play football in a non-judgmental atmosphere, and for it not to necessarily be for competitive reasons, for it to be just to keep fit or to make friends or whatever it might be, to learn a new skill, was something that I was really keen on making sure was available to women in London.
On the topic of community, Charlotte, you won the Premier League Football Blacklist Award for your work in the community. What is probably your biggest or best achievement in football thus far?
Do you know, I really loved going to the World Cup in Sydney. I was out there for 2 months. I was interviewing some of the best players in the world, some of the England players, and just seeing how far women's football had grown, because I started in a boys team and then now I'm at the World Cup and it's buzzing, the stadiums are full. That was such a blessing. And even more locally, like helping found Impact Team, which is a women's team in East London, and starting some girls football teams in schools. Those things are just things that stick out for me in my mind.
You spoke about the World Cup 2023 in Sydney, and you obviously spoke about the impact in community. How important is it for those community initiatives to kind of make a difference?
Definitely, that's where it starts a lot of times, at grassroots or in your community or local football team. So if it's available, that's the first stepping stone to becoming professional or even having a career in physios or sports journalism, because we need people everywhere, but community is so important.
So Kira and Layla, both being football players, playing currently right now, who have been your inspiration growing up? Which football players do you like?
Do you want me to go first? I'll go. For me, I'd say Messi. I think watching Messi week in, week out, I think anyone can say he's just out of this world. And I think to be as a winger, and I think to watch him growing up, and I was like, yeah, if I can be even this much like him, I'm good. I'm good. So I'd say Messi for me. But I think for me in the women's game, I think growing up watching Alex Scott, I think I used to love how she played as a right back and everything she went on to achieve in her career. And even now, to watch her, I think she's really, really inspiring.
Similar, Messi. Watching the clips on YouTube before a game, you see Ronaldinho, Messi, all these Zidane, these big players. Watching them play was just mesmerising. But in the women's game, when I was looking out to see if there was any Muslim players, I did come across a player called Nadia Nadim. Her journey through football is just amazing, and she's just so inspiring. So I think as a women's footballer, I think her whole journey is just amazing. Yeah.
Both of you guys said Messi. Me being a United fan, I've always been Ronaldo in the Ronaldo-Messi debate.
Wait, let's just say Messi, Ronaldo, let's go. Me, not Messi, Ronaldo.
No comment. I might interview one of them one day. No comment.
I'm saying Ronaldo, I'm holding it. I'm holding it. What about you, Charlotte? Messi or Ronaldo?
I'm a no comment as well. I want
You
to
lot are too
interview them
media trained
both.
for us, man. Shruti, Messi or Ronaldo?
I was going to add David Beckham to it, just
Can I opt for David Beckham just to not to pick?
No one's answered it properly then, yeah? All right, cool.
You guys spoke about, obviously, Alex Scott being a pioneer in the women's game. Do you guys feel like women's football has grown since the success of the Lionesses, and how important has that been just to, increase women's inclusion in the sport?
It's a really good point. I've noticed that there's a lot more girls who want to play as a goalkeeper since Mary Earps, which has been really nice. But I think that just shows the power of a role model. I personally don't know any female Jewish football players, and I think that's something that is a bit of a shame. I'd like to see more. I know that there'll be players who are up and coming. There'll be young players who are playing at kind of at national level. But it would be wonderful to see them publicised more, to be able to see, for young girls. What about visits to schools, just to inspire them to get to play more? I think that would be really, really amazing.
I think you're really right when it comes to representation, and just one small role model can just take it a lot further. Like, even for me, my personal experience growing up, I never used to see many people with turbans on TV. The only person I used to see with a turban on TV was in EastEnders. There used to be an old man with a turban walking past at the back of the cafe and that. And that was my inspiration, actually. And then that allowed me to do something like The Apprentice and go take things further. And that's what I'm saying. Something such small like that can just make a big impact. And having a Jewish female footballer will just be so amazing for the whole community and religion.
And I think, maybe some of you guys will agree, but sometimes you can't always tell somebody's religion from the way that they look. They might not wear, traditional clothing. So, it would take somebody to actually stand up and say, I'm a Jewish woman and I play football. And I think that would take a lot of, bravery and courage to do that. And maybe, when that does happen, it would be nice to see the shift. And how does that then change the way that people within the community view football for women? And I think that could be extremely powerful, and it's really nice to see more representation. I definitely think that we have seen more over the years, but there's still so much more to do.
I think representation is really important because, like you mentioned, unless you are dressed in a way that kind of shows what religion you are, it's quite difficult for people to identify what faith you come from. Whereas, your ethnicity, people can tell from the colour of your skin. As a Muslim that's grown up watching football, but also working in the football media industry, I think the dynamic has kind of shifted with the most prominent male footballers in comparison to the women, because there's actually none that wear a headscarf in women's football right now. But you'll see players like Mohamed Salah, you see, Sadio Mane, when Liverpool were winning titles and Champions League, they would prostrate and in their celebration. That's how people can identify, oh, that person is a Muslim. So I think that is really important, not just from an identity perspective, but even just a role model perspective for the younger generation. Charlotte, you spoke about 2023 going to Sydney. How do you feel like the game for the women's side grew from that Lionesses' success in the Euros, then covering the World Cup a year later?
I think people can no longer deny it. The talent was there, it was on the TV, it was there for everyone to see, and I think people are now more inspired, and young girls coming up, and I think now people are going to watch the games a lot more. They're investing their money, they're investing their time, and I think only positive has come from it. But and going back to the Jewish player, I used to play with an excellent Jewish player in Leyton Orient a couple of seasons ago.
What was her name?
Sophie, first name Sophie. I can't remember her surname, but I will find it out. She was 16, so I kept encouraging her. I was like, you can really go the whole way. She was, to get the ball off her was a nightmare. So yeah, I'm hoping she comes up through the ranks and gets to a higher position in football, because she was excellent, absolutely excellent.
Just to add to the success of the women's game, look at the Euros, the World Cup, I'm pretty sure it's trending, content creators, you might back me up on this, but around more girls were asking for Christmas boots for Christmas than other presents, and that was just so so good to see that they wanted football boots as their gift that Santa brought them, and you saw the shift that had. But also internally, like as being the national governing body for football, winning major tournaments is one of our key game changers, and we've continued to push that, and we'll continue to drive that because we see the impact of these major tournaments that they have on the grassroots and inspiring the nation. And it also links to our recent launch of our EDI strategy, and we're really tackling down around how do we tackle discrimination to ensure that we've got safe and inclusive environments for those coming into the game, promoting inclusion, so welcoming everyone and ensuring that if they want to talk about their identity and faith, then they have the platforms to do so, or they have the opportunity to bring their whole selves. And ultimately that is pinned by like increasing representation, and we're really aware of the challenges the game is facing, and we're not shying away from it. And most recently we've launched our South Asian Inclusion Plan as well, which really looks into the challenges South Asians are facing, so we can create clearer pathways, whether they want to play, referee, coach, or even work in the game.
Kira, being a prominent South Asian football player, how important do you think representation is in the South Asian scene for men and women?
I think representation across football in men and women's games is so important, and I think for me, I think it's been really great to see that representation increase, and I think every time one of us makes it, it's a proud moment for everyone involved. And for me, I think there's so much more scope for representation to increase, not just on the pitch in football, but I think off the pitch in football. So I think I'm just really excited to see it grow, because the bigger it grows and the more representation you can see across everyone, and I think that's kind of what we all want.
Would you say being a Sikh has made it harder for you? Did you think you needed to jump a few more hurdles? What do you think the journey was like in terms of that?
I think for me, I've never seen my background, religion, race as a barrier. I think if other people want to see it as that, that's on them. That's not for me to decide. For me, I've always played football because I love it and because I'm all right at it, I guess. So I kind of just use that, my love for the game and my talent for the game to kind of get me to where I am.
Ramadan is fast approaching, Layla, and you released some content about fasting during Ramadan. Of course, in the men's game, I think is quite prolific in terms of having support systems within football clubs. What's it like for you in terms of fasting and playing football?
For me, I think fasting and playing football, it doesn't really change. I think because I love football and I love my religion, it just goes hand in hand. So I just sort of get on with it. I just play football, just keep going. But I think asking like the question when I first started fasting, there was nothing really out there. That's why I came up with the Ramadan planner, and it's just grown year on year. And this year I think will be the best year yet. We're releasing it soon, and we've adapted it. And yeah, I think it's not only for people in football. I think it's for literally anyone if they want to stay fit, active. But yeah, the planner has helped me a lot, and I think fasting and playing football hasn't really changed much for me. Yeah.
Shruti, in terms of your connection with your Hindu faith, how has it supported you throughout not just your personal life, but even in your professional career?
So I think my Hindu faith and beliefs, like, it gives me hope. And I think faith is, for me personally, it makes me believe in the things that you can't see. And it gives me that direction, that resilience to change the world a little bit. Like that's what I want to do. Like we're put on this planet to make a difference. And I think knowing that you have somewhere you can go to find peace or hope is really reassuring. And I absolutely have a morning ritual where I listen to my prayers in the morning, and it really sets me up for the day. Like it just gives me a grounding, which is hard to put into words, but it really gives me direction as well.
Chloe, so as your current role, you're a sports welfare officer. What are your main goals to impact positive change in the game?
So at London Sport, one of the things that we're really working hard to do is to make sure that sports across London, but also across England, have the right safeguarding procedures in place and the right support to make sure that everyone is safe participating in sport. So one of the things that we do is we work with clubs and the club welfare officers to provide basically free support to make sure that they have as much information as they need to be as inclusive as possible, to provide safe spaces for young people and for adults, whether they have a disability or whether they participate in football, cricket, rounders, whatever it is, like every sport, because ultimately sport is such an amazing thing regardless of what sport it is. Obviously we all love football here and it's our favourite, but sport brings people together And what we want is to make sure that those spaces where we're bringing people together are safe. So ultimately, that's part of the work that we do.
Like me, I think a lot of you guys are at an intersection, you know, gender, race, ethnicity, etc. And sometimes people come up to me and say they've never seen someone wearing a headscarf on television. So Charlotte, you're a content creator, just like myself, and a sports journalist. How important is it to you to be a positive role model for young people right now?
Yeah, I think people are spending a lot more time on social media than TV these days, and just showing them that it's possible. I'm a female, but I play football. I'm a female, but I do sports journalism. I interview people. And if they can see it, then they can believe it for themselves. So if I can continue to do that and give them an example, amazing. And like these other ladies are doing, we all have a responsibility. And I think it's just something that I just had in my spirit, in my soul. I loved asking people questions. So that's something I've just kind of ordered a mic and started going to events and being quite proactive. So if somebody's passionate about something, I really encourage them to take that first step and be proactive about it. And you never know where you could end up, because right now I'm at St George's Park being interviewed by you guys.
So Kira, just want to say congratulations, massive milestone, 100 appearances at Derby County. How has your Sikh faith influenced the whole journey?
I'd say probably firstly being Sikh, I think certain values are kind of like instilled in you. So for me, it's almost about being compassionate, honest, giving back, just treating people as equal throughout life. That's how I carry myself as a person in day-to-day life. And I think that then in turn is how I act as a footballer. Don't think they're any different. But I'd say with Sikhism being a religion that's probably gone through a lot of suppression over the years, and I think it's kind of taught in you to kind of persevere through any sort of hardship that you might face. So for me, I know that I'm really, really hard working, and that really helps in my football career, because like we've mentioned before, football's such a chaotic sport. You have ups and downs. 1 minute you're here, 1 minute you're there. So I think having that mentality helps you get through the hard times. But also I think with it being such a peaceful religion, it kind of helps me stay centered and stay grounded. So even with the lows, you're kind of still here, and the highs, you're always kind of balanced. So I think that's massive for me. So
Shruti, currently what is the FA doing right now to promote South Asian coaches?
So we're doing a number of positive action programs and initiatives to help increase representation for South Asian coaches. We've really taken some time to really understand the barriers and challenges. So often the solution to getting more representation is like, let's put money towards it. But we've really tried to understand the barriers, the challenges, and really be creative and create programs that are reflective of the needs of the coaches that we're trying to serve. And it's not a one blanket that fits all. So we are being creative, we're trying new things. So we do club placement programs, we fund qualifications, we've got mentor programs. So basically a number of interventions that will meet the need of the coaches, and hopefully we'll start seeing a diverse workforce coming through.
You know what I've noticed when it comes to giving opportunities in terms of representation, sometimes it could be like a double-edged sword, because obviously it's amazing, but at the same time, sometimes people could see it in a different way, because I feel like there's a thin line between representation and hiring the best person for that particular job in different sort of situations. And sometimes people undermine the actual responsibility of the role you got to, because they'll say, oh, you just got that because it's a tick box, it's a representation element. How do you make sure none of that happens? How do you show the fact that this person got the job, not just because you're trying to tick a box, it's also because they're skillful enough to be in that sort of position?
It's a great question, and I think I've heard it often as well, like I'm in positions because of my race or because I look different. And I think there's a huge element around education. Like we've got to explain the why. We absolutely need to open doors for individuals, and it's also appreciating and acknowledging that people have got different start points. Like people are starting the journey at different points, and absolutely all decisions are based on merit, but that why we're doing what we're doing and why we're giving opportunities to underrepresented groups is so crucial. So it's about taking people on the journey, and absolutely there'll be some who are harder to bring on the journey, but you keep going, because if you can make the minority a majority, that's where you see the change.
So Shruti, you've been at the FA, and of course this is the Faith and Football series with the FA. So how do you feel like it's impacted the faith communities? Do you feel like it's had an influence since it started?
Yeah, definitely. So as Verdi mentioned with season 3, I think this series allows people to be seen. it allows them to be seen and inspired. We spoke about role models and a number of these ladies who are on the pitch. They're inspiring the next generation, and this is what this programme is doing. So this series is probably reaching that audience that we've historically potentially not reached before. So I definitely think it's having and giving people a sense of belonging as well. Like, the game is open for all, and we do welcome all.
So Chloe, what we'd like to see more to celebrate the Jewish faith and the culture within the football world.
I think there's a lot within the Jewish faith that I would like to see happen. I think within the community, I would love to see football promoted more for women. I think that, football's a really popular sport within my community, but I think women being given an opportunity to play is something that's not really been viewed as important in the past. I think it's now, for girls, it's definitely growing, but I'm all about that lost generation. I'm all about those women in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s who didn't get an opportunity to really play. And so why not now? Why not give them that opportunity? So I would like to see that from kind of internal. I think externally, I think it's about how can we make sure that people of the Jewish faith feel comfortable and supported to go to football games. And I know stories from speaking to others of other religions. I met this guy a few weeks ago who works within the Muslim faith, and he was talking about Muslim supporters group who took a group of women to go to I think it was a Bradford City game, and like the impact that it had on the women. Some of them didn't really know the rules of the game, but the fact that they were able to go together and enjoy the experience. And then I think they did an exchange with another football team in a different area of the UK, and I just thought, wow, that's really cool. I would love for that to be able to happen within the Jewish supporters groups. And if we can get more women involved in going to watch the games, I think we're just going to grow and cultivate within our community people enjoying and loving football.
Charlotte, footballer, content creator, sports journalist. What's on the horizon for you in the next 5 or so years? What's the aspirations? What's the goals?
Just keep going. I've written a children's book, so hopefully that's going to be published shortly about, a girl who's passionate about football, but she's got some barriers like a lot of us have probably had when we were growing up. And I'd love to just continue to create content and encourage young girls to create content and interview more athletes, more diverse athletes, more female athletes, and do a collab post with you.
Yes, we need to make that happen.
That's the right
we need to
answer,
make that
isn't it?
happen, yes, before the end of the year. Yeah, 100%.
So Kira, obviously a lot of achievements in your football career so far, but what would you say is your biggest achievement in football?
For me, probably something you touched on earlier, hitting that 100 appearance milestone. I think for me that was massive, with Derby being my childhood club, having been here since I was 10. I think to reach 100 appearances was pretty special to me.
And Layla, just for you, what's on the horizon for you? Of course, making your debut at 16. I saw you scored a banger, by the way, on your
Thank
Instagram.
you.
Yeah, that was an amazing goal. What's on the horizon for you?
Just to keep going, keep pushing, and as Kira said, anything can happen in football. So just take any opportunity that comes, keep going, and working hard, yeah. And also we are through to the final of the cup that I scored in.
That's it. So Shruti, for yourself, what are you most excited about in football?
I feel I've been so inspired by this panel. I'm going to go buy some football boots and go out and find my local club. So that is absolutely what I'm going to do. But I'm really excited. Like, the FA have gone into their next strategy cycle. There's some bold ambitions, some brave ambitions, and I'm really excited to see some of that come to life. As Amina mentioned, we're on the back of the scenes, but actually seeing it play out and see the proof of some of the strategies that we've written come to life is pretty exciting.
I think the common theme is that, in my language, there's a proverb that basically says one finger can't wash a face, which means it takes everybody's effort to make a change in the industry. And you spoke about, creating safe environments just for diversity and whatnot. I go to a lot of football games and, before it was very difficult to find halal food at a football stadium. And now I can go to a stadium and find not only just halal food, but even prayer facilities, which is really useful. And that actually can encourage people like me to keep going to games, because then they don't have to kind of pick between, do I follow my faith or do I follow my passion and what I enjoy doing? So yeah, one finger does not wash a face, guys. It takes everybody to make a difference.
100%, 100%.
I'm Minna Ibrahim.
And I'm Verdi Mazzaria.
And this is the FA's Football and Me Season 3.